Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. It's the day after the federal election. I'm going to warn you up front, this is not going to be a typical Scott Fox After 9. I'm not going to do what you need to know. I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of fun in this one. I have got to talk about the election results from yesterday. And I'll begin by acknowledging that my guess was wrong yesterday. Now, I had spent a decent amount of time throughout this campaign watching the organization on the ground, but I do that from Southern Ontario, and things in Ontario are very, very different from other parts of the country. I am especially learning now. It felt like Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives had some really good momentum going into last night. I thought the polls were somewhat wrong, and they were, but they were also right in a lot of ways as well. So I'm going to talk about that in this episode, but I do want to first acknowledge that my prediction for a Conservative majority or maybe Conservative minority didn't quite pan out. Wasn't quite enough momentum for Pierre Poilievre last night, and we'll get into the why coming up. Then we're going to talk about where we go from here. In this episode, you're going to hear the acceptance speech from Mark Carney and the concession speeches from Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh. Please do not read anything into my tone today. I'm disappointed. I am. Everybody knows, I think now, because I declare this bias regularly, that I am a conservative and I voted for Pierre Poilievre. I wanted Pierre Poilievre to win because I wanted change for the amount of people that message me that are desperate. And it didn't work out that way. And that's the way politics works. Sometimes your candidate wins, sometimes your candidate loses. And in this case, I see some blame to go around. I see some hope for conservatives. I see some hope for liberals here as well. And hey, let's face it, if you're a liberal, you're probably pretty happy right now. I would imagine you would. You would be. But we'll get into the results in just a sec, a little more broken down. I'm going to go by the provinces in a few minutes. But first off, the overall top line results, leading and elected, because not all of the ballots are counted yet. And some of these numbers could change. But as I record, 168 seats for the Liberals. You need 172 to win a majority. They're within 4 seats, and they're leading in 13 of them right now, which would take it's 168. I don't know that they can get to 172. However, there is a scenario where we're going to have 4 more years of the Liberals because of the NDP. Again, I'll circle back on that. I'm setting myself up for a lot of explanations here, and try and work with me. I am so tired. I'll be completely honest with you. I was up until 1:30 in the morning. I got up at 3:30 in the morning to do my radio show, and now I'm here doing the podcast. My phone has blown up. My DMs, you know when it just stops counting and it says 100 plus messages? I could probably have about 5 of those. The amount of people that have reached out in the last 8 to 10 hours. Thank you. I appreciate you. I will see your messages. I don't know if I'm going to reply to them. I'm going to try, but I'm just inundated with messages. And frankly, I'm tired. This was a long election and not the result that I wanted, not the result that half of the country wanted. So again, back to the numbers, 168 leading and elected for the Liberals, 144 leading and elected for the Conservatives, 23 leading and elected for the Bloc, 7 for the NDP, and 1 for the Green Party of Ontario. So many people are wondering what happened. Here's the way I see it. The NDP screwed Canada one last time on their way out the door. I don't think the NDP tried very hard in this election. I think Jagmeet Singh knew he was gone. I think that was part of the Liberal strategy. Get rid of the NDP. We take the entire left on our side, and then it's going to be very tough for the Conservatives to beat us. Having said that, they almost did. The polls yesterday, right before the polls opened up, the official polls where we vote, the prediction polls, said that the Liberals would get between 41 and 42%, and it said the Conservatives would get somewhere between 36 and 37%. That turned out to be fairly accurate. The Liberals got 43.5%. The Conservatives got 41.4%. As far as actual votes are concerned, Liberals right now, 8,353,000. Conservatives, 7,941,000. That's within 500,000 votes. It's very, very close. Now, the Liberals don't have enough for a majority government, but I said they could still have a majority. I mentioned this on the radio this morning, and somebody who I know is a Liberal called me out on it. Come on, Scott. You can't just switch parties. Yeah, you can. Here's the thing. The NDP has officially lost party status in the House of Commons. When you don't have official party status in the House of Commons, there's really not even a lot of point in going. You don't get nearly as many privileges. You don't get the budget. You don't get the staff. You don't get the resources. You don't even get to ask questions during question period in a lot of cases. There's not much hope or much optimism if you are a member of a party that has no official party status in the House of Commons. There's only 7 NDP members. The Liberals are 4 short of a majority government. I'm going to bet that those NDP are going to cross the floor. They're going to go to Mark Carney. They're going to say, hey, we have absolutely nothing here. We have no resources. We have no money, nothing. We will cross the floor and join the Liberals and give you a majority government if you give us something. And that something could be a cabinet position. It could just be a safe seat amongst the Liberal benches. I don't know what's going to get offered or what deal is going to get done, but I'm fully expecting those 7 NDP members, if it ends up being 7. They've only been elected in 5. There's 2 more that they're still not sure about. So I'll be surprised if those NDP members aren't seriously considering going over to the Liberals and giving them a majority government. And that, of course, would guarantee Mark Carney 4 years as Prime Minister of Canada. Can the Conservatives do anything like that? Well, right now they're at 144 and there's 23 bloc members. That would take them up to 167. Not quite enough to beat the Liberals. It would be very, very close. And in traditional times where members of Parliament voted their conscience instead of just voting with the party blindly, whatever the leader says we do, maybe that could have impacted something. You know, there was a lot of times over the last couple of years when Canadians were screaming that they wanted an election, and all it would have taken was a few Liberal members to listen to their constituents and vote with the Conservatives. That would have brought the government down, and we would have been having an election much, much, much sooner. By the way, I watched a lot of television coverage last night, and while most of the pundits got it right, one of the things that the pundits were all over yesterday is the collapse of the NDP, the relative collapse of the Bloc Québécois. Quebec won this election for the Liberals, Quebec and Atlantic Canada. I'll do those number breakdowns for you coming up, but if the NDP had done what the NDP traditionally does, this would be a much smaller Liberal minority, possibly a Conservative minority. But we've become an American system now. We only have 2 parties. The Americans have Democrats and Republicans. We now have Liberals and Conservatives. The NDP and the Green Party is non-existent. Not even forming official party status. Now, the Bloc Québécois, they've got official party status. They got 23 seats, and you only need 12. However, the Bloc doesn't represent the whole country. They only represent Quebec. In Ontario, the Conservatives did quite well. In 2021, the Conservatives had 37 seats in Ontario. They now have 53. That is a sizable improvement in Ontario. The Liberals went from 78 in Ontario to 69. You know, if that trend had continued across the country, this would be a Conservative majority government. But it didn't go down that way, namely because of Quebec and namely because of Atlantic Canada. That's the reason that we've got 4 more years of Mark Carney as Prime Minister. I think right now is a good time to hear a few of the speeches. Before I get into the provincial breakdowns and some of the criticisms, here is Mark Carney last night in his speech after being declared the winner.
Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? And who's ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? Okay, we got that settled. That's good. I want to thank the leaders of the other parties. I want to salute the contribution of Jagmeet Singh. I noticed his remarks. Yeah. Leading on progressive values. Elizabeth May, who will be returning. François Blanchet. And I want to congratulate Pierre Poilievre on a hard-fought, fair, good campaign, his commitment to the country that we both love. They all have many, many more contributions to our land. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana, for your work on this campaign. Thank you, Diana, for the commitment and compassion you bring to everything that you do. Tonight simply would not have been possible without you and without the support of our 4 children who inspire me to service every single day. I also want to salute the women and men who put their name on the ballot from all parties. Thank you for standing up to serve our country at this critical time. And for those who were elected, particularly those Liberals who were elected, I am looking forward to working together to deliver for Canadians. This says, Bruce. And Bruce, yes, Bruce Vanjoy. I'm looking forward to working with Bruce Vanjoy.
You can't see it there, but Mark Carney just gave a smug smile into the camera. Fanjoy is the one who beat Pierre Poilievre in the Carleton riding. Pierre, who has been a member of parliament there for, I believe it's 24 years, lost his seat yesterday. Weird one, because that should have been a very safe seat for the Conservatives. However, there was every election, in my estimation anyway, the Liberals will target a few key Conservatives that they don't like. The ones that are too mouthy, the ones that create too many waves for them, and they'll go out of their way to try and target them and put a lot of resources into it. Now, typically, they don't go after the leader, but that's what they did last night. I don't know if anything is going to change in that riding. I've heard some people make accusations about various ridings being rigged. I have zero evidence to go on with that. Zero. So far, and I'm not saying nothing nefarious happened, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. It seems like this was a fairly straight up election where it just so happens that the perfect storm unfolded for the Liberals. You heard Mark Carney there, not particularly inspired, but he's at the end of a long campaign as well. I'm sure last night was an emotional one for him. It was probably draining, and he's maybe now accepting the gravity of the responsibility that he's got. He's got to fix all these problems for Canada. Well, I don't know if the Liberals intentionally targeted to make Pierre lose his seat. If they did, that's pretty petty, but it certainly wouldn't be the first time they have done that. And by the way, I think the Conservatives do that too. I think they were really targeting Sean Fraser's riding in Nova Scotia last night, hoping to flip that because they don't like Sean Fraser. It becomes personal in a lot of cases. It's really not about what's best for the country. The Liberals did not do great in Ontario. Relatively speaking, they got 69 seats, down from 78. That's not an improvement for them. But they still did beat the Conservatives, who had 53 seats, up from 37, but still not as many as the Liberals. And the reason that that happened in Ontario was namely because of the way the ridings are drawn up. So in Ontario, let me see if I can give you a quick synopsis in audio form here. The GTA, Toronto and the GTA went mainly Liberal, including almost all of Brampton. Most of Halton went Liberal last night. The Oakville East, Oakville West, Burlington, North Milton, North Burlington, West Milton. It's such a stupid riding, the way they've named that. It's confusing for a lot of people. Then there's Burlington proper, that also went Liberal. In the Hamilton area, Hamilton Center, Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas, and Hamilton Mountain all went Liberal. Some of those were NDP seats previously. However, Hamilton East, Stony Creek, Conservative. Most of Niagara is Conservative, with the exception of St. Catharines, which voted Liberal. In Waterloo region, massive area. Kitchener-Conestoga went Liberal. Waterloo, Liberal. Everywhere else flipped to the Conservatives. In Guelph, they went Liberal. But again, everywhere around them went Conservative. Other than a couple of seats in London, London Centre and London West, the Conservatives have a clean sweep virtually across the province, with the exception of the GTA and Ottawa. So we're divided. We really are. In Ontario, we are divided. It's like that in a lot of places, though. In Quebec, the Liberals went from 35 seats to 43. The Conservatives went from 10 to 11. The Liberals and Conservatives picked up seats in Quebec. However, the Bloc fell apart. They went from 32 to 23 seats, and the Liberals benefited the most from that. In Atlantic Canada, it went mainly Liberal. In Alberta, the Liberals have only got 2 seats. The Conservatives actually improved their seat count in Alberta. They went from 30 to 34. The NDP also lost a seat in Alberta. They're down to just 1. British Columbia, in 2021, the Liberals had 15 seats. They now have 19. They only gained 4. The Conservatives went from 13 to 20. They gained 7. BC, Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, these were all areas where the Conservatives did well. It's east of Ontario where the Liberals made the difference, and it was mainly Quebec and Atlantic Canada. You know, the irony wasn't lost on me last night as I was watching that coverage. We've got that weird period where the maritime polls are closed, but we're waiting for all the rest of them from Quebec, Ontario, and parts of the prairies to open up. And I think that's the only time Atlantic Canada gets any attention from the mainstream media. I watch the national and the CTV national news. I watch all the national newses every night, and I almost never see anything from the East Coast. But then on election night, all of a sudden, these people are experts on maritime affairs. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that on the East Coast. Nice to get a little attention on election night. It would be nicer to get that a little more consistently. Now I want to get to the Conservatives. Like I said, Pierre Poilievre lost his seat last night, and I don't know what that's going to mean for him. He had a fantastic showing, growing in Ontario from 37 to 53 seats, going from 30 to 34 seats in Alberta, going from 13 to 20 seats in BC, clean sweep in Saskatchewan. I think that the Conservatives have a lot to be proud of. Last night was not all doom and gloom for the Conservatives, despite the end result. The Conservatives got 41.4% of the vote. They outperformed the polls, and they did well in Ontario. Now, you might recall, right before this election, there was a little controversy in the Conservative movement because Ontario Conservative Premier Doug Ford didn't want to endorse Pierre Poilievre, didn't want to do it. In fact, he was critical of the campaign. Before I play Pierre Poilievre's concession speech, I want to play for you an interview that David Common did with Jamil Javani, a member of parliament re-elected for the Conservatives. They talked a little bit about the race, and then Doug Ford did come up. Listen to what Jamil Javani had to say.
Tonight, congratulations,
Thank
first
you
of
very
all.
much. Yeah, we have a great team here in Bowmanville, Oshawa North. Very excited and happy to bring home a victory.
I do want to ask you, Mr. Giovanni, because you've just spoken to your supporters, a large group that's here at the pub here in Bowmanville, North Oshawa, and you said to them, among other things, that Doug Ford was a problem for you in this campaign. You said that he sabotaged the Conservative campaign. That's your words. You said he was a hype man for the Liberals. Take me through how you see that.
Yeah, well, look, Doug Ford just went through an election. I have differences of opinion with him. I don't like how he's managed healthcare or education. But out of respect, we didn't say anything. Federal party, we didn't get in his way. When it was our turn to run an election, he couldn't stay out of our business. Always getting his criticisms and all his opinions out, distracting our campaign, trying to make it about him, trying to position himself as some kind of political genius that we needed to be taking cues from.
Was it him specifically? Was it his campaign manager, Corey, tonight? Do you see Doug Ford as a problem for the federal party in the outcome of this race?
I see Doug Ford as a problem for Ontario and for Canada. I think he's not doing a great job in running this province, and now he's trying to exercise his influence over other levels of government, and it's not like this guy is doing anything particularly well. I mean,
you did used to work for him.
I did. I'm speaking from experience. I tried to fix problems in this province, and he kept getting in his way and all his goons around him all the time. They wouldn't make anything better, and now we're seeing him because this guy's a political genius because he beat Bonnie Crombie and Stephen Del Duca, and now we got to sit around getting advice from him? No. He has taken the provincial Conservative Party and turned it into something hollow, unprincipled, something that doesn't solve problems. He's glad-handing with Chrystia Freeland, having coffees and lattes with Mark Carney, and I'm sitting here saying we need to be fighting for change and something new and something different, not being a hype man to the Liberal Party.
Some would argue that the challenge within the federal Conservative movement is that there are these divisions, divisions that in some ways you're outlining tonight, and that it is the thing that stops or holds back the federal party from the majority government that it seeks. Do you see that as a possible outcome to some of the fractions and frictions that exist within the federal party?
There is a lot of unity from Conservatives across the board. Peter MacKay and Stephen Harper and Jason Kenney, James Moore, all sorts of people who've been part of our movement for a long time, united behind Pierre. There are opportunists like Doug Ford, and I think it's not about ideology or differences of beliefs. It is about some people believing our purpose as Conservatives is to be an alternative to what the Liberals offer, and then there are people like Doug Ford who are opportunists, and I reject that outright.
Do you have any leadership ambitions?
Look, we have a leader of our party right now. We're still waiting in for the final seat counts. I don't know what tomorrow holds. My focus, though, is on all the young people, all the parents, the moms, the dads who came to us and trusted us to offer an alternative, a brighter future. We're going to see that through. We're going to keep fighting. And when the next federal election comes around, Conservatives will earn the trust of more voters, and we will bring home a victory nationally.
I'll leave it there. Jamil Javani, extremely critical of Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Doug Ford was right, though. I'll just say it. I know there's angry Conservatives out there, but Doug was absolutely right. The advice from his campaign manager, Corey Teneycke, was spot on. He was right. Pierre was losing. Now, was he right when Doug suggested that this whole thing should be about tariffs? I mean, a lot of Conservatives would disagree that this election was not about tariffs. It was not about Donald Trump. But if you ask happy Liberals today, they're still very much elbows up. Let's go get Donald Trump. Let's go get him. Maybe Doug was right there. Maybe he was. Now, it doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of angry Conservatives. I'm hearing it. In fact, I'm getting crapped on because I tend to be down the middle on this sort of stuff, and I don't really want to criticize Premier Ford. He's a sitting elected Conservative premier who has won 3 majority governments. Now, it wasn't exactly the stiffest of competition, let's be honest here. But nonetheless, he still won. Was it right of him to interject himself into the federal campaign? I don't know. Probably not. At the time he did it, probably not. Does he have his own leadership ambitions? I don't know. Maybe. You know, there's a lot of hardcore Conservatives right now that are saying things like, everybody's got to sign up for the Ontario PC party so we can get Doug kicked out as premier. They want to stage a coup to get him back. Well, that's not going to advance progressive Conservative policies either. It's just not. Maybe if Carney won on this platform of we got to deal with Donald Trump, maybe Doug was right all along. Maybe. I mean, it's something to consider anyway. Now, Doug was critical of Pierre for not coming to him, for not building bridges, for not wanting to work with him, or whatever his specific criticism was. I would point out, though, that as much as Doug and his campaign manager, Corey Teneycke, were right, Pierre Poilievre got more than 1 million more votes in Ontario than Doug Ford did just 3 weeks ago or a month ago when we had that election. Pierre Poilievre got more votes in Ontario than Doug Ford did. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg philosophy. For those who are extremely angry at Premier Ford for possibly costing this election for Pierre Poilievre, I don't know. It seems like Doug's advice was spot on. To be honest with you, that's the way I see it. If I'm being honest and objective here, seems like everything Doug said was right. Now, did Doug actually do anything to advance the cause of Conservative values in Ontario? It doesn't seem that way. We're probably going to have 4 years of Mark Carney as prime minister. 4 years. I know it's a minority government. It could flip to a majority, and there is the possibility that New Democrat members could cross the floor, and then that would make it a solid majority government for the Liberals. I mean, mandate is a word that's going to come up a lot over the next few weeks. Mark Carney is going to try and say, I've got a mandate from the public. And arguably he does. He did win the election. He did win the popular vote, but we are certainly not united as a country. Let me put it this way. Let me just say it a different way than you've probably heard it or thought about it. Last night, Canada voted. Canada gave the Liberals a mandate for more catch and release. Last night, Canadians voted. They gave Mark Carney a mandate to print more money and create more inflation. Last night, Canadians voted. They gave Mark Carney a mandate to sever ties with America and make us completely reliant on Europe. Last night, Canadians voted and gave Mark Carney a mandate to leave the oil in the ground, no new pipelines. We're going to go net zero in this country. That's what Canada voted for. That's what the Liberals are going to say anyway. Now, in reality, I'm sure if I walked down the street right now with a clipboard and asked people, hey, are you in favor of catch and release, or would you like to lock up criminals? I think the vast majority would say they'd like to lock up the criminals. If I asked people, would you like to print more money and create more inflation and then create more debt? Are you good with that? I don't think many people would be good with that, because that's not a conservative value. It's not a liberal value. Middle class people are concerned about the crime in their neighborhoods, and they're concerned about the economy. I don't know that Mark Carney really has a clear mandate. He didn't talk about a whole bunch on the campaign trail. There certainly wasn't a ton of policy, not nearly as much policy as was announced by the Conservatives. But what Mark Carney did run on is to deal with Donald Trump. And the electorate felt Mark Carney was more capable of dealing with Donald Trump. That's the way it comes down. Now, Ontario, in particular, pretty strong mandate, 69 seats in Ontario. They lost seats, but it's still a mandate. It is a mandate for more money printing, for higher inflation. It's a mandate for building modular homes. It's a mandate for covering up the green slush fund investigation. It's a mandate for a lot of different things. And if you think of it like that, I wonder if anybody has any buyer's remorse. I wonder if anybody has any second thoughts or regrets. You know, I would love to sit here right now and say, let's see where we are in a year. Let's see if there's 500,000 homes built by next May. That's what Mark Carney said. He promised you 500,000 new homes a year. Let's see how many houses are built in May 2026. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he will build 500,000. Let's see where the economy stands. Let's see if there's still a Canada as we know it today. The West overwhelmingly voted for the Conservatives and the Conservative platform and conservative policies. They don't like the anti-energy policies from the Liberal Party, but Mark Carney got a mandate to continue those anti-energy policies. Alberta doesn't have to put up with that. Saskatchewan doesn't have to put up with that. Canada's just a collection of provinces. The federal government just represents our national interest. No matter what, we are still a bunch of individually governed provinces. And if one wants to leave, and Quebec set the bar for this one, they can leave. Hell, Quebec might leave. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, while congratulating Premier Mark Carney, that's fine. She had also warned Mark Carney before the election that you're going to get a real short runway if you win. Only a couple of months to address the issues that affect Albertans. And if we don't see some progress, then maybe there will be a referendum on Alberta separation. I think there's people in other parts of Canada that are looking at Alberta thinking, if they vote to separate, I'm going to Alberta. Don't want to go to America. It's too much of a hassle to move to Europe. I'll just go to Alberta, an independent Alberta, or Alberta being the 51st state. Then there's the Donald Trump issue. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about Donald Trump in a minute. First off, you deserve to hear from Pierre Poilievre. You probably did not stay up to see it. He lost his seat last night, and his status as leader of the federal Conservatives, I'm going to label as tentative. I saw an X poll this morning. X as in Twitter. They asked, would you like to see Pierre Poilievre stay on as party leader? 76% of people who voted said yes, they would like to. How can he stay on as leader? He had an incredible result, far better than many people expected. In fact, under normal circumstances, this would have been a massive majority government for the Conservatives. But he lost his own seat, and the Conservatives aren't government. To me, that means you got to get a new leader. That's what I think. It's the way it would usually go down. If the precedent was set with Andrew Scheer and again with Erin O'Toole, then following that precedent, I would think Pierre Poilievre needs to step down as leader of the federal Conservatives. And if he wants to take another run at leader, he should have a leadership race and he should run in it. And then we have a choice between Pierre Poilievre, Tim Houston in Nova Scotia, Doug Ford in Ontario, and whatever other Conservatives come out of the woodwork saying they want to run for prime minister. Here's a little bit of Pierre's speech from last night.
Thank you. To the candidates who ran under our banner as Conservatives, to the volunteers who knocked on the doors, made phone calls, put up lawn signs, rallied at our events, donated their hard-earned money to our cause, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To the millions of people who voted for the Conservative Party and put their hopes and dreams in our vision, thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward. To my fellow Conservatives, we have much to celebrate tonight. We've gained well over 20 seats. We got the highest share of vote our party has received since 1988. We denied the NDP and Liberals enough seats to form a coalition government, meaning and we did all of this in a very difficult environment. That said, we are cognizant of the fact that we didn't quite get over the finish line yet. We know that change is needed, but change is hard to come by. It takes time. It takes work. And that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country. Canadians have opted for a razor-thin minority government, a virtual tie in the vote count. So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government. We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians. We will do our job. Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account. But first, we congratulate people from all political backgrounds on participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people.
Pierre Poilievre there. I wonder if he would have done better if he would have spoken like that throughout the campaign. One of the biggest knocks on Pierre Poilievre was the slogans. Axe the tax, hug a thug, spike the hike. Jesus. It was getting really irritating. People were really irritated by it. And I understand that it was a branding exercise, but it put a lot of people off. You know, there he was just speaking there when he's not campaigning. He just wanted to say what was on his mind. He wanted to thank his wife and thank the people who ran and wish Prime Minister Carney good luck and remind people that we still have to be united and we still have to take on Donald Trump. One of the biggest criticisms of Pierre Poilievre from Doug Ford and from Liberals is that Pierre didn't spend enough time talking about Donald Trump and tariffs, whereas that's all Mark Carney talked about. I guess in the end, I have to acknowledge Mark Carney was right. I guess that's what people were interested in. I mean, I personally don't see or understand it. And I also know that Pierre's plan made sense to me. If we're going to take on Donald Trump, the best way to do it is to make ourselves self-sufficient, to use our oil and our resources and get them out to market. I thought that was a perfectly reasonable plan. But the media didn't cover it. Pierre didn't do a great job, I guess, at getting that message out, and people didn't understand that. They thought Mark Carney's, his slogans, and yeah, they didn't rhyme, but he was all slogans too. They thought that Mark Carney was better equipped to deal with Donald Trump. And apparently Donald Trump likes this. Donald Trump interfered in this election several times. Donald Trump injected himself into this election, and I don't know if he interfered because he thought he was helping and he wanted the Conservatives to win, or if he was dead set against the Conservatives winning because it works out better for him if it's the Liberals. If Canada decides to go net zero and leave it in the ground, the U.S. is just waiting on the sidelines to pick us off when they can. A lot of people are worried about that. There's a lot of people who feel the 51st state has just taken another step forward, that's where we might be going. Now, that's all wild speculation, by the way, but that's how people are feeling right now. Many people felt that Mark Carney was the wrong guy to deal with Trump from the start. Where's that going to leave Canada? What's that going to do about tariffs? Can Mark Carney do anything about it? Well, let's keep in mind, two people that you need to expect big things from are Prime Minister Mark Carney and Ontario Premier Doug Ford, because both of them have come to us in the last few months and said, give me your vote. I'll protect you from Donald Trump. That's what they said. Donald Trump is a threat to Canada's sovereignty. The only people who can stop him are Doug Ford and Mark Carney. Okay, Careful what you wish for, Doug. Careful what you wish for, Mark. Now you guys are on. And there's no buffer here anymore. It's just you guys. Can't hide behind elections or anything like that. You've both been given a mandate. Fix this problem with America. Fix it. Nothing has changed in the way that the middle class is feeling. They still feel like they're broke and hopeless. The economy didn't get any better, and I don't know if it will. Where do you think Canada's going to be in 6 months? In 6 months, am I going to be able to come here into this studio and record a podcast talking about how great the Canadian economy is and how great our relationship with America is and how great our social programs are? In 6 months, am I going to be able to say, hey, the dental care program got expanded? Hey, $10 a day childcare is now available for everybody. Pharmacare, even more drugs are included. Will I be able to say that? What do you think? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see where it goes. Right now, I do think that the prime minister-elect, after having been elected with a mandate, I think, even if you hate the guy, if you love our country, you've got to expect him to do well. I'm not cheering for Mark Carney right now. I don't like the circumstances that he became leader of the Liberals under, and I don't like the way this election was fought. I thought it was very dishonest and disingenuous, but I can't deny the fact that he won, that a majority of people voted for Mark Carney. Again, I'm still a little questionable on what kind of a mandate it actually is, because I don't think that Canadians fully expect Mark Carney's agenda to get implemented. I think there's a lot of people who are hoping that Mark Carney would be the guy to deal with Donald Trump, but then somehow we would still get some of the common sense things that the Conservatives were proposing, like getting rid of catch and release, like being a little more responsible with our spending. That's not going to happen. You don't get a hybrid. There's no a few of the conservative policies, a few of the liberal policies. If the carbon tax goes back up, if it does, half of this country has got to own that. That was on you. If it goes back up, I don't think Mark Carney is going to get rid of the carbon tax that's currently in place. I don't know that he's going to bring back the consumer carbon tax, but you can bet that he is still a net zero guy, and we will still be paying carbon taxes in this country. A lot of people don't understand that, and frankly, I don't know why you would vote if you don't understand that. I really just don't get it. But that seemed to be the one issue that a lot of people were fixated on is Donald goddamn Trump. By the way, I'm one of those people who back in November was happy that Donald Trump won. I thought America was on a dangerous path with the open borders and all of the other things that were going on in America. I thought they were going in the wrong direction, and I thought they needed to reset, and I thought Donald Trump was going to come in and do that. Right now, I am so pissed off at Donald Trump that I can't even articulate it for you. Donald Trump, whether intentional or not, and I'm leaning towards intentional, I think there is a reason he wanted Mark Carney to win this one. He interfered in our election. He cost my guy and half the country's guy a shot at fixing some of the mess from the last 10 years. And that's just the way it is. By the way, nothing has changed. The last 10 years were a mess. We've just reelected the exact same people to do it all over again. The only difference is in the leader. It's not Justin Trudeau anymore. It's Mark Carney. There's no more NDP running around the House of Commons saying, we'll bring you down unless you do this for Canada. There's no more Jagmeet Singh sitting in the Prime Minister's office saying, I will cost you, I will make you go to the polls if you don't give people pharmacare or $10 a day childcare. That's done. There is a blank check in front of the Liberals. We have a two-party system in Canada now, and that's just the reality of where we are. Speaking of Jagmeet, he did it. He got his pension. He lasted long enough to get his pension. He is going to be well taken care of for the rest of his life, and he's already wealthy to begin with, so there's that. Now he walks away in complete disgrace, taking the party that Jack Layton worked so hard to refine and make mainstream. The party of the working class that used to be represented by Jack Layton. Jagmeet Singh has left it in total disarray. I don't even think that they should bother with an NDP anymore. There is so much work to be done and so much money that it's going to cost to do it. We might as well just fold the NDP right into the Liberals. There is no more point in having a far left party in Canada anymore or a more progressive party than one in the center. We just don't need it anymore. Doesn't work. We're a two-party country now. That was another accomplishment of Donald Trump. And Jagmeet Singh owns some of the responsibility there, too. Canadians never got a chance to vote out Justin Trudeau. That coward quit instead of facing the voters. So Jagmeet Singh wore it. The frustration people had with Justin, that was who they took it out on, Jagmeet Singh. Here's him last night.
I want to take a moment to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on his victory. He has an important job to do to represent all Canadians and to protect our country and its sovereignty from the threats of Donald Trump. Tonight and every night, all of us here, we're on Team Canada. We want Canada to thrive, and we're going to continue to fight for Canada. I want to congratulate all the other leaders on a hard-fought campaign. It's been the honor of my life to represent the people of Burnaby Central. Tonight they chose, thank you. Tonight they chose a new member of Parliament, and I wish them well as they continue to work hard for this community. Obviously, I know this night is a disappointing night for New Democrats. We had really good candidates that lost tonight. I know how hard you worked. I spent time with you. You're amazing. I'm so sorry you're not going to be able to represent your communities. I know you're going to continue to fight for them. I know on how many doors you knocked, how many family dinners you missed, how many nights your kids went to bed without you there to tuck them in. I know it was a tough sacrifice, and I just want to thank, and we can give a round of applause to every single candidate that ran for us. Thank you. Thank all those incredible candidates and their incredible teams, because no candidate can do without a team. The volunteers, the staff, thank you to all those candidates and their incredible staffs. One more time. Choosing to commit your life to politics obviously comes with some sacrifice, but we choose this life because of the chance to change the country we love for the better. We may lose sometimes, and those losses hurt, it's tough. But we are only defeated if we stop fighting. We're only defeated when we believe that those that tell us that we can never dream of a better Canada, a fairer Canada, a more compassionate Canada.
I'm going to cut him off, and just spoiler alert, he quits. He steps down. He says he doesn't want to do this anymore. He's done. There's no more NDP party in Canada, and that's a shame because you know what? One of the things that we used to take a lot of pride in this country was our electoral system or our system of parties. It typically used to be the Liberals and the Conservatives would fight over those votes in the center, slightly right or slightly left. That's where they would go. And the NDP was always the voice of the working man, that compassionate crew that wanted you to think about those less fortunate. That was how they always kept relevant in the conversation. And Jagmeet Singh pissed away every ounce of credibility they had. All the hard work that Jack Layton did to make the NDP more mainstream and more palatable as a party is done. Federally, we're now a two-party system, Liberals and Conservatives. So now everybody knows what the benchmark is. In order to win a majority government, you need to get in and around at least 45% of the vote. No longer will we be electing parties with 35% of the vote or 37% of the vote. Those days are over. We're a two-party system now, and this is the way it is. Where do we go from here? Mark Carney is going to pick a cabinet. It's going to look very familiar. It's going to be a couple new faces, but it's going to look very, very familiar. They are going to govern, I estimate, for 4 years. I know it still says liberal minority right now, but I'm fully expecting this is going to be a liberal majority. And even if it's not, there's enough NDP members to prop them up anyway. It's going to be 4 more years of the Liberals, unless something bizarre happens in our country or unless something happens geopolitically. I don't know what could happen to change it. It's going to be 4 years of Liberal rule in Ontario. We will not have another election until 2029. There's angry Conservatives out there right now. There's sad Conservatives out there right now. There's Liberals out there right now that are very happy. There's also some that are thinking, yikes, what did we do? What did we do? I don't know what y'all did. I don't know. To me, this seems like it was a free and fair election. I haven't seen anything to the contrary. Canada has made a decision, whether we like it or not. We have to get behind it if we want the country to thrive. I do think that there is going to be a great role for the Conservatives in this upcoming parliament. And this is the one where they can set the stage to hopefully press reset and get more people to accept them. The Conservatives had a fantastic result in Ontario, very good result in BC, great result in Alberta and Saskatchewan. They even did okay in Manitoba. Quebec and Atlantic Canada has made the country a left and right, literally and figuratively, except when you're looking at Canada, the right has gone left and the left is right. Know what I mean? I'm going to leave it at that, friends. There's really not a lot to say. And I have hundreds of DMs that I've got to go through. I might not even reply to all of them. I get where you're coming from. It makes me sad to see my inbox right now. And I get that there's some people who don't have any hope. If you're one of the people who are celebrating today because your guy won, good. Cheer him on. We need him to do a good job. But right now, I'm not quite sure what we voted for. I don't know. Did we last night vote for more money printing? Did we vote for crime in our streets? Did we vote for more catch and release? Did we vote for decriminalizing illicit, hardcore drugs? What exactly did we vote for? And who is the guy we voted for? Are we going to see that asset disclosure? Are we going to see where Mark Carney's investments and conflicts are? When is that going to happen? Because the election's over. We can't take it back. Now it would at least be a nice gesture if he would tell us who he is and what he's invested in and what his conflicts are. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. I really don't. If you're a liberal, again, you're probably pretty happy right now. Your guy won. Good for you. If you're a conservative, you're probably either feeling hopeless or you're angry right now. And I understand that as well. And I'm trying to give a voice to everybody in this pod and point out to everybody where everyone else is. If you're a liberal, today is not the day to run out and slam dunk. It's not. Take the victory. Be humble in victory. Don't rub this in because it's not going to end well. If you're a conservative, yeah, I get it. You're feeling hopeless, and I don't know how to change that. If you're feeling angry, I would suggest that you probably get involved in the political process. Let's be honest. I am a conservative, and I can acknowledge there were some total horrible candidates. There were horrible candidates in all parties. Seemed like there were a number of them in the Conservative Party that I probably wouldn't have supported. You got to fix that. You've got to go to the electorate next time with a slate of good, qualified, well-spoken, free-thinking, independent people that want to join the conservative movement. Do a better job at vetting these candidates. Do a better job at putting them out there in their community, because it's communities that make these decisions. The Conservatives are going to have to talk about leadership. I know that the majority of the party, according to the few polls I've seen, say they want Pierre Poilievre to stay on as leader. Maybe he should. I don't know the answer to that, but if past precedent is a thing, then no, he shouldn't. Scheer stepped down. O'Toole stepped down. Poilievre didn't even win his seat. He should probably step down, if I'm being honest. And you know what? If he's got other political ambitions, fine. He could go and get a job in the private sector, no problem at all, and check that criticism off his list. Try to, how do I want to put this? Liberals, try and be humble in victory. Conservatives, you voted. It didn't go your way. You're angry. I get that. Let's keep it civil and focus your energy on how we fix Canada. Because even though you're not in government, we still have a lot of issues in this country that need to be dealt with. And frankly, I don't trust Mark Carney to deal with them. I don't trust Mark Carney to fix the crime on our streets. I don't trust Mark Carney to fix inflation. I don't. I've seen the last 10 years, and 4 more of them is probably not going to produce a different result. I don't know what this country is going to look like in 6 months or a year. But right now, I'm not feeling the optimism that I know older people that voted for the Liberals are. By the way, young people overwhelmingly did support the Conservatives and did support Pierre Poilievre. I think it's important that everybody acknowledge that, because we want young people involved in the democratic process. Everybody was going nuts when young people supported Justin Trudeau in 2015. Well, a lot of those people had buyer's regret, and they were the ones who wanted to vote him out this year. It didn't happen this time. And elections do have consequences. Canada's going to find that out. Hopefully not the hard way, but we'll see. Friends, have yourselves a great day. I don't know what the rest of the week is going to look like for me or the pod. I don't know. I'm emotionally drained. I am physically exhausted. I've been up for way too many hours, and I know I'm probably coming across a little cranky and a little sour grapes. I'm really not trying to be sour grapes. It's a new day. We have a new leader. We have a new government. They've got a priority, and they've been given somewhat of a mandate. My guy didn't win, and I'm not all that upset about that. I'm upset at how angry people are. You know, what happened last night may be good for some, but it doesn't change the way not even that. It doesn't change the way that a lot of middle-class people are feeling right now. And that's the voice that I think is the most suppressed right now, is the middle class. Those who don't see a lot of hope, that are living check to check, just hoping that something gives. I feel for you. I understand you. I hear you. And I will continue to listen to you. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. Try to anyway. Go Leafs, go.